Hi everybody, just hoping you can hear us. Be with you 1 second, just preparing the presentation. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, let me put this into slideshow. Thank you very much for joining us today. Some of you I know, some of you I don't. Please do use the chat to stay in touch and talk throughout. And if you've got any questions, you can put them either in the Q&A or the chat, which we'll be monitoring throughout. And today we're looking at multi-channel cycle planning and my insights and dashboard demos. So what I'm not going to do today is sell you the multi-channel cycle planning. That's a Viva tool, so I'm hoping you're either aware of it, using it, etc. So I thought I'd start with a little poll. I don't know if we can run that poll to find out where each of you are at in terms of your implementation or interest in MCCP. Don't know if we can run that poll from. I'll tell you what, we'll run that one in the background. I can't see it popping up at the moment. That might not be me seeing it. So let me crack on in. So first of all, I want to talk to you about 28B. I can see we've got Pete on the call who knows us, and John who knows us. But 28B, why are we in this space? Why are we talking about multi-channel channel cycle planning? Well, we're all about engaging with HCPs with purpose and helping pharma. And I got two of my colleagues on the call here, so I'm going to introduce them or let them introduce themselves. Alex, would you like to say hi?
Yeah, so hi there, I'm Alex, the Client Services Manager at 28B. So I've been the project lead across all of our MCCP projects, and that's overseeing everything from discovery and requirements gathering to delivery and also the post-launch support. So yeah, alongside James and Terry, I'll be happy to answer any questions you have either during the presentation or at the end.
And Terry?
Hi, I'm Terry. I work with 28B, and I'm here just to keep an eye on the chat.
Cool. Thank you. And I've realized that just want to check, can you use the chat as attendees? Because sometimes Zoom like to lock you out of a chat, and I don't want you guys being silenced if you can't chat.
I think, James, they may need to come through in the Q&A box.
Okay.
So rather than the chat.
Okay. All right. We'll use the Q&A box. Apologies. I should admit that about a minute ago, my computer failed. So if I'm looking slightly caught on the hop and slightly sweaty is because running a webinar with a broken computer isn't fun. And it may well be that I'm quite delayed as well at the moment, but my laptop is struggling, but I will carry on. So who are 28B? 28B, our mission is to enable field teams and brand teams to create great, exceptional customer experiences. And we do that really looking at CRM and CLM. Those of you know us very much focused on Viva, but also with the emergence of Salesforce post-contract end and OCE, we also specialize in that as well. But really it comes down to content, tools, and data. And today we'll be talking about the tools and data because that's where MCCP fits. Why do we work in this space? Well, I'm an ex-rep. I founded 28B because I believe in adding value at HCP engagements. And we know that content and data can make a difference in the field. So this is all Viva Pulse data, except for the one that's number 2. That's STEM healthcare data. When a rep uses content in the field, there's 2.5 times more patient starts. We see a 25% reduction in the time between meetings, a 20% likelihood of that follow-up meeting happening. And we also see a 71% increase in HCP commitment. So there's this huge opportunity to make a difference with high impact content. But in reality, and forgive the image, but I feel quite strongly about this, It's not happening. So only 50% of calls and less is digital content used by field teams. We know that 77% of content that is created for field team is rarely or never used. And in fact, 80% of all the content that's produced for HCPs is never shared with them, and that's cross-field and non-personal. So there's this huge effort that gets put into content, but it's not actually landing with the HCPs, not being seen. And also when it does arrive with the HCP, 65% of those engagements are uncoordinated or unsynchronized. What that means is one communication doesn't relate to the previous one, and the next one will be unrelated as well. So what we used to call the old days spam, and that's happening across all channels, including field. And it's important because 62% of HCPs that do see field teams only see field teams from 3 or fewer companies. So how can we ensure that we are one of those 3 companies? And for me, it's all about adding value across the right channels, which is where MCCP can come into play. So 28B addresses this in 3 different ways. I promise you I'm going to get to MCCP in a sec. First one is content. Is the content fit for purpose? Is it optimized? The second one is technology. How can we use technology better within this space? And then lastly, and most importantly for me, close to my heart, is field team engagement. So how can we engage field with the technology and the data, with the processes and workflows, and with the CRM itself? And there's a nice quote here from Anthony. He's one of our longest My Insights partners. We've been working with them for 6 years now around My Insights that looks at selling effectiveness, territory effectiveness, and customer engagement effectiveness. And they're one of our MCCP dashboard clients as well. So there you go. Promised I'd get back to MCCP. And by the way, if you have questions, do put them in the Q&A. Realized I can't actually see it, so I just need to pull that up. There it is. So if you do have any questions, don't have to wait to the end. Myself and Alex will be able to answer those as we go through, or we will have time for a discussion at the end. And I'm very happy to open up the microphone for you to have any questions. So what is MCCP? I'm hoping you know. I'm not sure if the poll actually launched. But this is Viva's view of MCCP. And if you, as I say, I'm not going to sell MCCP to you. There's a QR code there that you can scan, and that'll take you through to all the documentation for Viva on what it is, the technical documentation, as well as the business value documentation. Viva created this to try and bring together or encourage multi-channel use. The clue is in the name. And they position this as their wording, bringing activities from multiple CRM areas into one place to help field teams meet their goals. And provide the most value for their target customers, for their targets. I would quibble with the word value. MCCP is pretty basic. It basically values all emails and all engagements in the same way. It doesn't really look at what sort of content, what sort of email is being shared, etc. And I'll talk a little bit about how one client has used a cross-health multi-channel quotient to look at different values within channels. But in essence, this is Viva's positioning. For us, I like to see MCCP as that first step on engaging field teams with digital content. I showed earlier just how poor we are at sharing content with HCPs. So as basic as MCCP is, it is kind of that step towards encouraging field teams to use more content and to use more content across different channels. And it's a flexible space that you can adapt within the CRM that we can then build a dashboard that nudges the reps into better behaviors. So as I say, for us, it's a key step on that journey towards a more enabled field team. So this is our client. Why did we build a custom dashboard? Why did we get behind MCCP and put effort into this? Well, simply put, a client asked us to. This was Accord Health, and you'll see a quote from our client there, Andy, in a second. But this was their need, is that they obviously saw the value in MCCP itself, but were unhappy with the out-of-the-box interface, which, if you're familiar with it, has some pluses. It is, but it's more about presenting data than making data meaningful and actionable. They were struggling in their pilot market to engage the CAMs with the process. And they were worried that the level of training that's required using the standard tools, and we're looking for tools that might be a little bit more intuitive to use and require less engagement and training. Looking at this is bearing this in mind to be rolled out across all international markets once the pilot was done. They also wanted to bring in the across health MCQ. So just to reiterate that, if you're not familiar with Across Health, I'd encourage you to look at their work. Multi-channel quotient is something that they look at where a rep visit is a value of 1, and then an email is less than 1, and a clinical study publication is much higher than 1, and they give this weighting. So what we worked with Advance on is giving each of the channels and the content this different weighting. So the reps were looking at delivering an MCQ total for their targets rather than 6 emails and 2 calls. It was actually more about a mix and blend of those different channels to reach quotient. So quite advanced, and I think a good enhancement of any MCCP. They also wanted to bring in head office engagement, because an engagement between an HCP and pharma is not just one role and one function. Any of you that know me from LinkedIn know I talk a lot about this, about breaking down silos. That's because clinicians shouldn't have to see role and function. There's just one experience with that pharma company when it comes to promotional activities, and even if it were promotional and medical activities. So in this case, Advance wanted to bring into the CRM whether or not that HCP had received head office emails, newsletters, etc., to give visibility to the rep, but also to start to see that journey between non-personal and personal engagements. And they wanted us to do it because they trusted us. They know that we understand how CAMs work, how reps work, what the workflow, what it looks like to be a rep during a day, and trusted us to make the data meaningful and actionable. And I would argue that's a key with any dashboard. Is too often it is created by data scientists rather than created by people who know what the business needs are of a role and function and how you can make it live for them. So here's a very long quote from Andy, but really I'll leave you a sec to read it whilst I'm talking, but you can see here that the things they were particularly appreciated was being beyond out of the box. You know, Viva's a huge organization trying to meet the needs of a huge number of clients. So what they produce is not bad, it just has to be necessarily generic. What we look to produce is something that's specific to the need and specific to the customer. Full team involvement. This is also important. You need everyone in the room when you're thinking about this. That's from the field, the sales leadership, the commercial leadership and marketing. But from our side, Alex, who leads on this from an MCCP point of view, and requirements, our technical lead, our consultants who understand what's happening in the field. And it's about everyone contributing to that. So if you are looking to improve on MCCP, that cross-functional working is really key and something I'd encourage you to look at. But also is driving the adoption. Now, we position these dashboards as helping with adoption because they're easier to use, they're intuitive, they make the data meaningful and actionable. But just because something's good doesn't mean it gets used. So it's very important to look at that digital transformation and that communication and involvement. And key for that actually links back up to the full team involvement, which is making sure that you've got champions in the field that are contributing to the creation of the dashboard and its implementation. So that's a lovely quote from Andy, who's actually just moved on from Advance. So what did we achieve? It was launched for the pilot, and that led to increased adoption, but it then went on to be launched across all of the international markets that are using MCCP. We had 100% user satisfaction. I will admit it's a small team, so it's not a huge team, but it's still pretty proud of 100%. We saw increased MCCP adoption, enhanced MCCP execution, and importantly, it reduced admin time for CAMs. So why is that important? Because we all love a bit of reduced admin. It'll help us to move faster and adopt better. We're now in wave 3 and 4. You might have seen that within the quote with Andy and the team, or at least with the team now. Andy's moved on. So wave 3 and 4 of enhancements. You'll see when I show the demo in a sec that enhancements are simple. It's all tile-based, so it's very easy to add in things. And this is great where you get the feedback from the field team about what's working and what's not, or what they'd like to see. Also, we created for them, once the medical field team saw the dashboard, they wanted something similar. So it shows that some of these things are universal, not just around commercial, but understanding what your customers are engaging with, who you've got on your books, etc. And with their permission, and that's why we're here today, we've also now implemented this dashboard for 5 other clients. So we co-developed it, but it's now something that 28B are offering wider. So there's 5 other clients using this MCCP, hopefully more to come. And we got an NPS of 10 across those 5 clients, not just because of how we're delivering it, but the dashboard itself meeting the requirements for the MCCP implementation. So I'm going to move to the demo. This is where I'm going to get real brave because I'm going to have to spin up the thing that crashed my laptop just seconds ago. But hey, these are real challenges, right? If I was a rep in front of an HCP, it's easy to dismiss technical challenges, and they should be better. Let me try this. So if you just bear with me for 1 second, I'm going to launch all this up. It will take me just a minute. The chat is disabled. Okay, I see that, all of that. I didn't see the Q&A there. That's made me very happy. So here we go. So I can share this. Okay, that's come through. You seeing that? Great. Okay, so this is the dashboard. So for those not familiar, hopefully you all are, if you're here around where My Insight sits. So this is the homepage of the iPad application. This happens to be in the old CRM, but it works equally well on Vault CRM, and will also work on Salesforce browser as well for this. So it will work across them all and will transfer well between old CRM and Vault CRM. So what are we looking at here? The left-hand side, I'm just going to move these tiles. You can see how they fade out. So the sticky, if you like, is the main health check for the plan. So you can see that we've got a simple gauge that's showing there's action needed here. We use a very simple algorithm to predict that based on your current behavior, you will or will not meet your goal. Can I would say I can here. Let me just get the pointer up. There you go. So over here, we've got this simple gauge using this algorithm to say that if you continue in this way, you are likely or unlikely to meet your plan. Also importantly, we want to let people know how many weeks are left of the cycle plan in order to take the action to get this back up to green. And then this is split between your high, medium, and low, or A, B, and C, or 1, 2, and 3. However you segment the potential of your customers, the targets, this can represent, and you can see the numbers, how we're doing in terms of performance against our MCCP. So the number of points that you want to score within that sector, and then a showing of them all. So that's a sticky permanent there that just is always visible and very simple. And you'll see this is a very simple dashboard. This is about quickly seeing where you need to put your focus and then taking action. It isn't a data analysis dashboard. This is not a BI dashboard. There's elsewhere. This is all about simplicity and speed. Each of these tiles represents some actions you can take that will contribute to your MCCP, but it also goes wider than that. So simply put, here on opportunities, this is basically telling us that out of all of our targets, and I'll show you in a minute how you can filter them, but across all of our targets, how well am I doing? I've seen 80%, 82%, or I've got a call in the scheduler with them. But there's 25 that I have either not seen or are not in the scheduler. So if I open that, it'll take me to a simple list view. This is, again, we keep it really simple, which is these are the doctors that I have yet to see and are not scheduled to see that I need to see within my MCCP. Very simply put, simple list view sorted by value. And from that, and I can't do this because it's dummy data. And if you're looking at it, you'll also see maybe some less than obvious data in here because we have to create it within our sandbox. We don't have data to load. So this is all created by the developers as they're creating these things. But from here, you'd be simply be able to launch into the HCP account or push them through to scheduler to schedule a call. You can see on the right-hand side over here, it's reminding us what our opportunities are. And then you can also see a filter here. So this allows you to select between plans because in some cases, clients have multiple plans. So I can switch between gold and silver, which will sort the data. I can also switch between products. In this case, we've got acmiparin and apagiolol. I maybe could have come up with a better name there. And again, that will allow you to filter through on those. And then your high, medium, and low clinicians. So allowing you to refine the list, but not getting more complicated than a list builder. For return, you'll see at the top right here also, this filter is available at a territory level. So across, sorry, at a bulk level. So across all the values, which allows me to filter by each of those. Okay. So let's have a look at some of the other tiles. Follow-ups. So we know, and the data is there, that following up a call with a rep-triggered email is of value, but it also contributes to your MCCP. Now, you can send an email at any point and contribute to your MCCP, but we also want to use this to encourage that best practice around sending emails just after the call. But we're busy as reps, right? As a CAM moving between appointments, etc., you may forget to send emails. So how can you create a list of emails to send? Simply put, I just hit take action. And there are all the calls I've had in the last 2 weeks where I've failed to send an email after the call. But it may well be that some of these people I know personally don't like to receive emails, so I'm not going to send it. But for those where I just simply ran out of time or forgot, I can now send that follow-up email. Importantly, within 2 weeks, because it wouldn't include the whole cycle plan time, because that really wouldn't be a call follow-up and it wouldn't have a lot of value as a list. Consent. Consent isn't, strictly speaking, part of your MCCP, but if you don't have consent, then you're going to struggle to deliver enough emails to meet your MCCP. So consent is important. And again, real simple. All of these tiles follow the same configuration, which is by opening this, I can then see all those clinicians I've scheduled to see by the next call onto their consent status as to whether it's unknown or negative, so that I'd be reminded that when I see Alex Mansell on the 22nd, that I should ask for consent in the call, which is the best point of time to get consent from your HCP. Or I could also sit down and send a consent request to these different doctors if I had a high value exchange item to get that consent. Calls saved and submitted. I'm sure if you're all working in the CRM space, you know that not all calls are saved and submitted at the same time or right after the call. So this is just to remind and to make it easy to collate all the calls where I've seen and I've saved, but I haven't submitted that call, because often if I'm in the last week of my MCCP, it really might help me bump my numbers to achieve MCCP. VAE engagement. This is really now stepping outside of the classic Viva MCCP, which basically treats all emails as the same. But we all know that emails are not all born the same. Transactional email about getting a meeting has different value to an email that's talking about a product and contains key messages. So it's quite important to help the representatives understand which emails are getting traction, who's opened what, etc. So again, the VAE name is all listed in here. There is a whole other layer of sophistication we can get into, maybe not on this call, around we can help the reps surface the right emails for the right customer at the right time. But this is like a first step on that, helping them understand which ones are getting traction in a simple and easy way to view. Prospects. Prospects are important. We're working with a number of clients to look at their sales priority lists. Often, lists are put together by potential, but also accessibility, and then they're set in stone and not often updated. And yet we know that new customers come onto territory. We also know that new customers or unknown customers engage with digital content, or it may be that new customers are seen at AV meetings, etc., that aren't target customers. So what this allows is just for the rep to review, maybe with their manager and then on with the CRM lead, which ones they might want to bring into the MCCP if you have particular points in time where you're updating your MCCP, or for review at the next time it's delivered. Activity above plan. That's just to really rein in any overcalling, which we all know happens, etc., and sometimes just happens not by intent, but raising that to a known level is in there as well. And then lastly, unsubscribes. MCCP is driving the use of multiple content, multiple channel content, including emails. And sometimes field teams who aren't experienced in using VAEs can receive a VAE and then send it to 100 customers, send it to 100 customers, send it to 100 customers, and then they get the next VAE and do the same. And that can cause unsubscribes, etc., through overcalling. So it's important to know when you see an unsubscribe, what may have triggered it, what email did they receive last, and is this something I can go in and fix? Consent and subscribing is an expression of trust. They are trusting you as the pharma company to provide value. And if they unsubscribe, it may be an indicator that that trust has been not met and the values to be not being met. So it's really important to repair that as soon as you can. So I actually think this is a really important tile. Hopefully, and I don't quite know why we've got 52 on it, hopefully it'll be a lot less than 52 unsubscribing in an MCCP. Otherwise, you're definitely overcalling. So in essence, that is this MCCP dashboard. But you can see how it goes beyond. You can see how even a medical team could find this valuable if you just took the to plan bit out and various other language changes. So as I say, this has been created for medical teams. It's also been created for commercial teams who aren't using it as an MCCP. You know, we can take out the action plan, but those tiles remain of value for anyone managing their territory and looking to increase sales. So I hope we demonstrated here, and we can move to a Q&A session here, that you can make data meaningful and actionable, and importantly, nudge the field teams to take the right behaviors to meet not just their plan. And the reason you want to meet their plan is that should and would lead to increased sales and meeting of the sales targets as well as the engagement targets. Okay. There you go. So I'm sorry if I rushed through all of that. As I say, about 30 seconds before the call, my laptop wasn't working, and it is currently spinning on all fans. So I'm hoping you could hear me well through all of that. I'm going to open up to any questions, discussion. I'm going to open the mic. If anyone has a question, just pop it in the chat, and then I'll open the mic to you there. I can see we got one from Pete. Is that consent status MC object or copied into the account from? It would be a technical question, Pete. MCC or a techie question, you can take it offline. MCP object or copied. No, it's so yeah. So this is pulling in from beyond the MCCP object. So we are pulling in stuff. So the consent is against the customer account, the HCP account, not against the MCCP. I don't know if Alex, you look like you might know that one from your thesis.
Yeah, so just to add to that, Pete, so the entire dashboard, so the way we're pulling the accounts in is we're looking at the MCCP object to see that, yes, they are on the plan, but yeah, in terms of consent, that is being pulled directly from the account object, and it's just so that it means we're not duplicating any consent. So I can see Terry's actually answered that in the chat for you as well. So yeah, it's just so that it remains, we've got that single source of truth for the consent status. Yeah.
Cool. Any other questions? I can see from anyone. Okay. Let me return back to presentation.
James, you've got a question here. Somebody's going to catch a train, by the way, John. And we've also got, do we offer launch support for these?
I beg your pardon. Beg your pardon. Okay, John, good to see you. Yeah, or not see you, but hear from you. To an anonymous attendee, do you offer launch support for these dashboards? Works well. That's a really good one. So it depends on the size of your team, location of your team, etc. But what we tend to do is create user guides, usually through video, so that you can see it being simply used. We pride ourselves on these dashboards being intuitive to use, so there shouldn't be too much. But actually, it's the MCCP itself and the concept of it that is often the bit that needs the nudge. So the dashboard is kind of a supporting tool to this, but fundamentally, they need to create their plans, they need to be uploaded, they need to follow them, and they need to believe in them, which is a lot of what we'll do, which is what is the value for this. And it isn't, I'm sure you all appreciate this, that Viva is often seen by field teams, or any CRM is often seen by field teams as a mean to measure them, right? Where are you? Who are you seeing? And are you earning your wage? And it all came out of the way they were launched after ETMSs. And this can feel very much like another KPI measurement tool, right? It's very much like, oh, now there's emails I have to send, or now there's AV meetings I have to do. By the way, you know, any of that could come through on this. So this is an inflection point for us to be able to say, yeah, it is a KPI and it's a measurement, but we're doing it for the right reasons. And that data I showed you earlier around the impact of content, but the fact that we're that it's not being delivered in that way. That's part of our engagement with field teams is, look, there's an opportunity here, right? I know you know what you're doing. I know you like this content, but sharing other content can have real impact, and your competition aren't doing it very well. And I can say that fairly confidently because the whole industry is not doing it very well. So MCCP is a tool to help them start sharing content in a conscious way so that we can start adding value and communicating, and we know it works. So it's a very good question. It is about the full package. Why MCCP? Making sure that we don't get it immediately put in the same bucket as ETMSs and measuring me, and that we actually show them it's a valuable tool for them. I can see I'm slowing up again here. I hope that answers your question. Yes, we do provide support. It's really important. Videos, sessions, clinics, and hypercare are all important parts. The dashboard itself should be sustainable on its own. And the last thing on that question, really importantly, is your sales managers are as important, if not more important, as your field teams, because they're the ones that have the ear of the field team. We often train and engage them first so that they feel experts in this space before it's rolled out to their teams. Also, I don't have MCCP. Can I still get this style of dashboard to achieve similar nudges? Absolutely. MCCP is just a way of bringing things together with a target. You can set your own targets, or you can have all of this without that. Basically, it's without the gauge, right? So how many targets have I seen in this cycle? And this cycle could be the 12 months, the year, it could be 6 months, whatever you set it to be. So all of these things about nudging and driving best practice, the principles are the same. It's just we've found that MCCP is often the hook because people struggle to deliver MCCP and get engagement. So absolutely, anonymous attendee. It can be a non-MCCP. Cool. We're at time. I appreciate your attention. If you'd like to reach out to us, have any further pieces, please do let me know. You've got all of our details. And thank you very much to everyone, and have a good very last few minutes of the day. Cheers. Thanks, Jorge.
Thanks very much.